Let's speak to Bilal Sarwary. He joins us from Kabul. Bilal, you've been keeping a close eye on what's been happening, particularly in Lashkargah. What are residents there telling you?
I've been able to speak to a lot of residents in that city over the last few days. They say that, airstrikes and fighting has basically, hit civilian homes, and that people are stuck inside their homes. They cannot take their wounded to the hospitals, which are perhaps 500 meters or so away. A lot of people who were killed in the fighting are still inside, those civilian homes where the Taliban have managed to basically coerce some Afghan officials within the police in the city to surrender because they've gone to their families. I mean, shops are closed. People complain that there's a shortage of food and that electricity is also cut off. It's the, summer, the heat is just too much, especially for children and elderly. But we now also have accounts from Afghan officials in that city saying that fighting is within many, many different locations of the provincial capital. This is where the British and American troops fought for years. They invested in blood and treasure. So it does look actually quite embarrassing to the Americans when they say that everything is orderly when they point out to their own withdrawal. We also have confirmation that 4 airstrikes were carried by the Americans, both in Kandahar as well as in Lashkargah. So the fact that provincial capitals are being bombed by American fighter jets and B-52 bombers tells you how much the security situation has taken a turn for the worse. In the western city of Herat, we have residents telling us that they have issues with running water, that bakeries are short of bread, that people are struggling to leave their homes because the fighting is on the streets. And not to forget that farmers in Herat would have been packing 72 different types of grapes, and the fig season is there. So there are massive losses for Afghans all around, especially for farmers who are trying to put food on the table for their families.
Well, Bilal, what's the government saying about all of this? Earlier, we spoke to the Afghan ambassador to Sri Lanka, who said the Taliban says that it's taken many areas, but it's not actually as much as they are claiming. What's the government doing here?
Well, President Ashraf Ghani has instructed his security ministers basically to go to these cities and take Afghan Special Forces units with them. They are doing that. The Deputy Interior Minister is in the city of Herat. The former Mujahideen commander Ismail Khan is fighting, but he's also publicly complained that he was, neglected by the government, that he didn't have enough reinforcements. I mean, what you have to really see from the point of view of ordinary Afghans is that the fighting is on the streets in major neighborhoods, inside major provincial capitals, inside major trading hubs, We are aware that President Ashraf Ghani has called an extraordinary meeting of both houses of the parliament. The MPs were on holiday, so they've been, asked to come back. We expect that President Ashraf Ghani would be seeking their support. The president has clearly said that he has a plan which will take 6 months, but, every day the situation is taking a turn for the worse, and the pace of these events is so fast that no one can really make any prediction on the ground. Places keep changing hands. You see brutality, for example, the brigade commander in Herat province who was taken captive. His video has now appeared. He was executed later on. And I think what you also see as this conflict is, increasing inside major provincial capitals, that Afghans have got simply nowhere to go. So if you're in Lashkargah, you would have escaped, the fighting in the districts over the years, and people have got no homes, no belongings, no income, and hospitals are also actually targeted in certain areas in terms of airstrikes and in terms of the fighting. So, Afghan doctors, the medical, community, they're also bearing the brunt of this conflict. And quite tragically, the new front lines are not only everywhere and anywhere, but, Afghans are fighting this conflict getting only, increasing on their doorsteps, inside their living rooms, as we quite tragically see a lack of permanent and comprehensive ceasefire.
It's certainly a difficult situation for everyone in that country. Bilal Sarwary, thanks for that update.